Hey everyone, what's going on? It's your boy Krebsy Crypto, and for today's video we're just going to be going over some tips for mining on a budget. And no, don't worry, this isn't going to be some insane budget of like over $1,000 and all that. Like I've seen many YouTube videos saying, oh, we're going to do mining on a budget, and then their budget's like $2,000 or more. It's like, to me, that's not mining on a budget. Mining on a budget really is like something like $500 or less. And that's pretty much what my rig is. It's a $500 or less mining rig, and it produces income daily, and I've pretty much almost paid myself back with it, just because I've mined speculative crypto even with it, and some of it's took off, and I've been able to sell some of it. So it's a chance game really with the lower end mining. But don't get me wrong, you can also steadily mine other coins. Like I steadily mine Litecoin and Dogecoin mainly. Those are my top two coins that I do mine. So the first thing we have to start off with is obviously the hardware itself. So as you see, I have two GTX 1063 gigabytes, the two over here, and then the one right here is a GTX 1654 gigabyte, and then I have two separate motherboards running it with two separate power supplies. But I hopefully will be able to narrow it down soon enough, just get a big enough motherboard, but that's over time. You can progressively work into these type of things, and that's kind of what I want to go over, is like how much you're going to spend on it, how much you could potentially make, and like what the whole plan is itself, so that way you can keep like a budget mining rig but also keep expanding it and improving it and getting it better. So the first thing I usually say is obviously try to find like your budget you're working with. So if you're like me, I had a few $100s to work with at the start of the year. I think it was like last year. This is when I got into like mining like big time, like full time. And what I did is went on to like Kijiji if you're in Canada. If you're in the US, you could use Craigslist. And then worldwide, you can use eBay. I know you're gonna say, oh, I've heard these many a times, but there's literally certain ways to search about and use like the filters to find specific price ranges for you, and to kind of find like there might be a card that's listed a little bit higher price, but you can always like negotiate and work with the price. But I'll go over that now with you. So I'll just start off with my mining rig here to give you guys like a clear example. These two GTX 1063 gigabytes, they were listed for like $300, roughly around that. That's what the guy wanted, and this was in my local area. This was actually just off of like the Facebook marketplace itself. So I found it and I was like, you know what, let's take a shot. I messaged them. And what you have to do is just kind of find out why they're trying to get rid of it. Because if it's just sitting around for them and collecting dust, you can literally just tell them something like, hey, instead of it sitting around and collecting dust, you can turn that rate to cash and you can send them an offer. That's what I did. I bought the one first off of him. It was around like 300 or whatever, but then I talked him down. I ended up getting it for like 150, 175. So right there, I knocked off a huge chunk of money, because you always think to yourself, the worst answer you can get is no. They're going to tell you, no, I can't do that price, or no, I'm not comfortable with that price. But don't let that be a deter or anything. Just have it set in your head that the worst answer, be prepared that you can get a no for your offer. But when you see graphics cards for like $300, $400, everyone's just kind of working with the market in hopes that their card sells for that high of an amount. But if you talk to them directly and kind of, have like a connection with them for say in like the business aspect, you will be able to get like a deal or some price off. Myself, I never pay retail price for a graphics card. I've paid all under retail for all of these. I'm pretty much well under $200 for each of these graphics cards. And that one's a 4 gig and those two are 3 gigabyte cards. And I got them during the hype of this whole like GPU boom and everything. So if you use like the Facebook marketplace, look in your area, see if there's anything like reasonably priced. Say if you're looking to spend like $150, $200, look at graphics cards even that are $300 or $400. People will knock the price half off if they're just trying to get rid of it. You just have to talk to the person. Don't just judge by their like asking price. That's what they plan to get, but just negotiate with them. Now that's for things like Kijiji, Craigslist, Facebook, things like that. But for eBay, what I tend to do is literally, it depends on like the keywords you tend to use. So you can go and search for like graphics card on eBay, and it's gonna list you all of these like high end, obviously not ones like this. It's gonna give you the ones that are top of the line, high end, high price, the ones that are being bid on, because that's how eBay works. It brings the ones that are bid on and active to the top. So you're gonna see those ones. and try to get like with those ones because you're like, oh, that one's gonna sell soon, I must get it because like look at the price and everything. But what I tend to do on eBay literally is you can keep all the filters the same, so keep everything as like, you know, your search radius, where you want it location wise and things like that, but you just might have to scroll for a while. Like I spent like an hour on eBay scrolling, and I use a search term like graphics card, for example. I'll scroll for like an hour and then I'll come across a deal. And what I tend to do is stick to the ones that have buy it now or best offer, because then you can shoot your offer. And just like with Kijiji and everything, message the seller before you make your offer, so you can kind of see what's going on or check the item description. There's even graphics cards that have like issues and such that are quote unquote broken, that might just like not display or something, but you don't need the display if you're like mining with it. So if you have multiple cards like me, you use one to display and the rest are just extra power for it. It's not displaying anything. So that might be a scenario where you could still use it, but that person can't because they don't have it display and they might be using it for gaming or something. And another thing with like eBay and Kijiji, I find for like search terms, use like graphics card, GPU, 2GB graphics card, 3GB graphics card, 3GB GPU, things like that. People name things and tag things so differently, and you can even look in just like normal electronic like categories, because some people don't list them in computer parts, they just throw them in electronics. Because you can also find people that don't know about like the value of graphics cards, and you can kind of swoop in on that deal, you could say. Like for my 1650 here, it was listed I think for like 250, 300. I ended up paying like 175, 200 for it. Yeah, it was the same price as the 3GB cards. I know it's a 4GB, but this one's a mobile version, so not many people will use it, but it can still mine profitably for my scenario. One last thing about the GPUs is not all, like when people say, oh, you can't mine with 3GB, you can't mine with 4, they're just meaning Ethereum. So a lot of these miners, when you see, oh, let's build a budget mining rig, right? They're talking for Ethereum. So for Ethereum, you need like 6GB and more. So obviously you'll be dropping a bag on graphics cards for those type of things. But if you're starting small like this and you're adding to it, you're gonna have like, I think, like a better chance, because you have many more graphics cards running on the algorithm, building up a percentage. Yeah, you could have like a newer end graphics card for like $1,000 or more, but it's gonna be a while to pay off. Because for me, like Ethereum, when you're mining it, I don't like see the value in mining it so much, because like you're paying outrageous prices for gas fees. So the stuff you mine, you end up using for gas fees, or you have to use your actual money and buy Ethereum to supplement the gas fees. And to me, I like mining like my coins and everything, and being able to only use that stuff. I shouldn't have to buy more of the coin I mined in order to like be able to use it for transaction fees and such. I should be able to mine the coin and take home most of it. But that's my rant for like the graphics card part of it. So I'll list the websites on the video here and in the description on what to use for what your region is, search terms and everything, things to kind of use. I'll give like I'll probably make like a notepad list of them and then just paste it in the description for you guys. Now your next thought is probably like motherboards and such, because you see like other miners too saying, oh, you need mining motherboards, you need the specific motherboard. Honestly, I just have random motherboards. I didn't even look at the models and such. The one over here that's running the 1060s is, actually it's right on the box here. Let's see if we can, the B, I think that's B450. I can't see it there, but yeah, it's nothing crazy. It's just a basic motherboard. It's like 4 years old at this point. Same with the processor itself. It's just an AMD A10. And this motherboard is just an old Intel board. It's a i3, I believe. So nothing crazy. It's just running the mobile card there. But for that motherboard, I probably spent like 30 bucks on it. That one I ended up getting for free because my brother gave it to me a while ago, so I won't lie there. I didn't have to pay for that. I've been in tech for a while, so a lot of these parts I've had lying around, like these old hard drives and such like that. Why go out and buy all these new parts? You don't need them when you can use old things. Like this old hard drive is still able to run perfectly fine with mining. Same with this older motherboard. And then what you do is when you buy a lot of these like lower end graphics cards that you can say because they can't mine Ethereum, so I guess it makes them automatically lower end, but in my opinion, they're still good. So if I had like another like 3 of these going, right, I'd probably be making probably close to like $5 a day, because right now I make roughly about $2.50, $3 a day just off these 3. So if I keep expanding and get them going down my wall here, right, with just a bunch of lower end, and I'm within my budget of like $150, $200 per card, I let themselves pay themselves back, take a little bit of profit, and then keep expanding and building up, and then eventually I can go back and sell like this first rig as a complete rig, and then you can turn around and sell it for a bit more money because it is a complete rig. So the work won't have to be done for anybody, or like the work will be done for the person that gets it. They won't have to set it up, and then you can sell it for a little bit more money and things like that. Like that one has a riser, you buy them for cheap, and you can just keep expanding and working your way down. Now obviously a lot of this depends on your hydro rates. Myself, I don't pay hydro in my apartment I live, so I could keep going and hoarding graphics cards and wrap them all around my room if I want. But that's not the case for everybody, obviously, so check what your hydro rate is, and then say you go to get like a 1060. Look up algorithms or what it can mine and see the value of it compared to your hydro rate, and make sure you're at least cutting a profit, because over time you want to like slowly pay it back, right? In my opinion, it's better to like have these lower end cards, easier to pay back. You don't have to sit there and just like feel like you have to mine Ethereum because you put all this money into it and it was meant for Ethereum. You can kind of venture out, spec mine, things like that, and even then you can mine, like I've said, like top coins. Like I've mined algorithms and exchanges for like Bitcoin, Litecoin, Dogecoin, and you mine them when they're on the low. You build it up as much as you can, and when they take their bull run, you go ahead and you sell off, and you take obviously a little bit of profit for yourself. So in all reality, for motherboards, you kind of want to do the same thing. You just want to go on like the marketplaces, Facebook, Kijiji, Craigslist, all that, and just look for average like motherboards. You don't need anything crazy. If you do want one like with like multiple GPU slots, I recommend getting like a server motherboard, because they're usually relatively cheap. I got one that's just sitting there. I have to set it up still, but I have one I got I think for like 30-40 bucks. Came with the CPU and everything, and it has I think 3 or 4 GPU slots. I can put them all in, and then I can go ahead and CPU mine on it, because it has like another 4 or 6 cores or something like that, because server ones are the best to CPU mine with. I hope I'm just not rambling too much and this is making sense for you guys, because like I'm trying to like help everybody, because like I myself am even on like a strict budget. I obviously like have other income coming in because I work and things like that, but what you want to do is try just using the money you're getting from mining and reinvest it back into like either like a coin, or go ahead and just keep buying more parts and things like that. I took in a little bit from my like paychecks from work here and there, just small amounts. That's sometimes like what you have to do. I just don't like forefronting like, you know, here's $2,000 for like a handful of GPUs. To me, that's not worth it. In my recommendation, if you buy bulk, so I know my channel's focused on like lower end graphics cards. So if you find like 2 gigabyte graphics cards, let's say on eBay, say they're listed for $50 each. I can show you an ad here. They're listed for $50 each. There's like 3 or 4 of them. What you can do is grab like 2 or 3 of them, and then when you go to make the offer, put in like 20 or 30 bucks a piece, because you are buying bulk, like you're buying multiple of them. So say you got like 2 or 3 2 gigabyte graphics cards for 20 or 30 bucks each. Those will easily pay themselves back, because there's things like Vercoin and things like that are pretty profitable for lower end graphics cards of the 2 gigabyte range. And when you're mining with 2 gigabyte cards, you more than likely want to have multiple of that card. It's easier because the power draw and everything, you might as well just run multiple of the card to kind of make it a little more balanced and make a little more money. So with the ad I have up on the screen, there was multiple, and let's say I wanted to buy like all 3 of these 750 Ti's, right? I would just make the offer of like 20-30 bucks each, try to grab all 3 and set up a rig. That's what my next plan is to do, is to set up a 2 gigabyte like mining rig to show you guys that like it can be done, and we'll see the profits on it It'll be like a community project for our channel. But the next thing we want to take a look at quickly here is the software to use to kind of find algorithms that are profitable for these lower end graphics cards. Now I'm probably going to make this into like a multiple like series video, but for this one I'm just going to quickly show you like the software that I use for like these guys here to quickly find like good algorithms for the lower end ones here. Just gotta turn on my mouse. So what we'll do is just quickly open up. It's mining right now, it's doing its own thing. But the software here is that you can use to find algorithms. I'm just trying to get it to focus. There we go. N+ Miner. And as you see, it says N+ Miner Z-Pool Edition. So N+ Miner, he's in a lot of the discords for Z-Pool and like Zerg-Pool and things like that. And he specifically made his software. At first he just normally released it, but then he made it specific for each like pool. So if you go to use this software, it will only pull the algorithms from that pool that are being used there. If you do get it running, you'll have it and you'll have a bunch of these files. You'll run this one at first, just the normal, sorry for the shakiness, the normal N+ Miner, and then it'll run and run its software, install like I forget what Microsoft software so it can run, and then you'll see an N+ Miner as admin. Once that's done, you'll run the admin one, and then that will just give it admin privileges. But what the software does is once you have it running, and you'll just set up like your worker info. Like I said, I'll make like most likely a separate video on this program itself. You'll put in your configuration information, and then it will you'll run it, and then it will cycle through it'll pull all the algorithms from the pool. So for example, on this one, like I said, it was a Z-Pool edition. So it'll pull all the algorithms from Z-Pool, and it'll make the compatible ones with your GPU. So for example, I had my GTX 760. So put that in perspective, that's a old graphics card, my 2GB. This software picked it up and matched it with algorithms it could mine, and it was mining it profitably as well. And VertHash wasn't even the top like algorithm. There's other algorithms other than Vertcoin nowadays for 2GB graphics cards. So what this will do, this software will pretty much automate your job. Instead of going and looking at all these lists on what the most profitable like algorithm is, this will always update with new algorithms. It'll always cycle through every few minutes and pull the information, so that way it'll tell you how much you're making per algorithm, which one's most profitable, and it'll run the most profitable algorithm with the miner. So like I said, N+ Miner, that's going to be your software you want to use for when you use lower end graphics cards. It might run through some algorithms and miners that might not detect your graphics card. Like for example, my 760 doesn't always work on T-Rex Miner, but this software itself does recognize the 760, and it's just trying to make it compatible. It just runs through because the algorithm itself is on that pool with that software. You know, hopefully this video was, you know, there's a lot of information I know, but hopefully, you know, you kind of got an understanding on like mining with a budget. You just have to be very, I don't know how to word it, but you just have to really pay attention to like the pricing on algorithms, the profit, your hydro rates, things like that if you are starting off with a budget. Like I said, over time, once you build up, like let's say you build up to like one Litecoin, right? You have a couple $100 at least for like Canadian conversion. Then you're sitting on that Litecoin, and if it starts running up to like $300, let's say, then you got $300. You can sell that, and then you can go buy yourself a few more graphics cards, a higher end graphics cards. You can slowly get into it. Instead of dishing out these crazy thousands of dollars at first, you can start with things on a budget, right? Because everything requires a budget. You don't want to just be throwing money in if it's not going to work for you, right? And especially if you're just starting out and learning, this is a good way to do it. You don't want to go in and blow your bank on this and it just not work out for you, right? Because of hydro rates, or maybe you just don't understand it. I make these videos and kind of ramble on to try to help you guys understand, get a better understanding of things, how to like get stuff within a budget, within a range, instead of going out and buying a full-on rig. But yeah, overall, like I said, you just want to stick to the marketplaces for things like this, and use filters, use certain search terms, because everybody lists things differently. That's the thing. You're going to get non-tech people that have no idea that the graphics card, you know, is called a graphics card, let's say, and they just throw in electronics and called it a computer part. You gotta think like that, right? Because a lot of these higher ones are the high-end tech guys that know what they're talking about, so they're gonna be like, oh, my graphics card does this, so it's the best because it's top of the line, it can mine all this stuff. Where maybe the average person just doesn't care for that, they just want a graphics card. And obviously there's scalpers and resellers, and we could go on. But if you find somebody that has a reasonable graphics card, so say like, for example, with this 1060, I found this guy on Facebook, he had one, and then I used it for like a few months, and all of a sudden I seen him list another one. So I was like, oh, I bought one off of him before, it was fine, I got it for like $175, so let's do it again. And what did I do? I got the same price yet again, because he knew I wasn't messing around. I came around, I got the graphics card as soon as I said, hey, do you have it? You know, you just got to be straightforward, honest, be ready to hear no as an answer when you're going to offer some things, like certain, like money and all that. Also, another good tip, trade some things. So say, like, for example, you have like old tablets, old phones, stuff, electronics sitting around that you don't use. Say, hey, by chance, for your graphics card that's sitting around, do you just want like a nice iPhone or something, or just something of the sort, you know? Just whatever stuff you have. You always want to bargain with people, because people are always looking for something to bargain with too. Because I find trades, like bartering, is a good way, because then if that item is being hard for them to sell, they can just go sell this other item that's easier for them, or maybe they can go ahead and use it. But sorry if this video went on for a while, like off topic at times. Like I said, I just want to kind of go in depth and get an understanding for you guys that like this is possible. You just have to put your mind to it. It may take hours upon hours of searching on Kijiji. I've waited weeks and weeks for deals to pop up, but the thing is patience. Patience is going to be your key in all of this. You don't want to just jump on the first thing you see. Like, there's going to be many deals that you'll come across. Favorite them, bookmark them, set them aside, and keep looking. If you're that, like, if you want it that bad, you will find it. You'll find a way to get it for that price. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys for today's video. If this helped in any way, or if you just want like another part for this video where I go on with even more information, more software, things like that, let me know and I'll continue this series as a thing on my channel. But I hope this helped in some way, you know, brought an idea to you, helped you, you know, find a search term to use, you know, hopefully in some way, maybe even the software helped you, like with the program. Now maybe you can go and find a profitable algorithm instead of sitting there looking on what to mine and things like that. But I hope you all have an amazing new year. I hope your new year has been off to a great start. If you did enjoy, make sure to slap a like and hit that subscribe button, as there's a lot more content to come. And I hope you all have an amazing day, and this is Krebsy Crypto signing out.